Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Leppy Duels week number 9, once again presented by Jarvie Media. I'm your host, Jacob Arvidson, and I'm excited to have all of you guys with us, especially those that have been with us the entire time. Thank you so much for subscribing, liking every video, and enjoying this along with us. If you're new, please join that group of people. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate support from all of you guys, and you'll be paid off next week with our first big money giveaway, so stay tuned for that. If you're new here, here's how the show works. In a moment, you will meet our 4 distinguished guests. Each of those guests will go 1v1 versus the other 3 contestants. Within each duel, each contestant will have 1 minute to deliver their points on the assigned debate topic, along with an additional 20 seconds to respond to their opponent's comments. After that, I as the host will determine a winner of each duel, and the first one to fill up their scoring bar wins the episode. Simple enough. Let's meet this week's guests. First up, hailing from Lansing, Michigan, a former champion of Leppy Duels himself, and the captain of Team Discraft Underground, Wes Shinovar. Next up, he's the brand manager at Great Lakes Disc and the only member of the Leppy Duels cast to ever win 2 episodes, Brian Papa Wolf Frawley. Next up, he's returning from his first career episode and his first career win, the owner of Still Bangin' in Houston, Texas, Matt Stillwagon. And finally, rounding out the cast this week, he is no longer joining us from the Kansas City car rental line, the brand manager at Latitude 64, Seth Finley. Welcome all 4 of you. This is the first cast of all winners that we've had ever on Leppy Duels, so I'm excited to see someone add to their win total today. Let's jump into it. First up, Wes, Brian, you guys are going to be debating the biggest storyline as we head into the Music City Open this coming weekend in Nashville, Tennessee. Wes, take it away.
Biggest Music City storyline, for me, it's got to be Chris Dickerson. I feel like the Disc Golf Pro Tour stole a little bit of my thunder making a post today, but Chris has really had a slow start to his season, which is really a surprise. You know, he works really hard in the off season, and he's a player that I expect to, really come out firing. He's consistently in that top 5, but he's sitting at 19th right now for Disc Golf Pro Tour points, which is a big surprise. He's ranked 8th in the world, which I think is kind of low for him, but again, related to his slow start. And I think that this is going to be a big week for him. You know, he's got his Champions Cup major title to defend coming up after this. So I feel like this tournament is really kind of a good setup where he needs to have himself in that top, 3, 4, 5, be competing, get some of that lead card pressure experience leading into next week so that he can go out there and defend his major title.
Great take on the local Tennessee boy for sure. Brian, where are you going with this one?
Yeah, so obviously, Wes, this is C-Dick is the big story of the weekend, and I think going first, that was a great point. But going second, I'm going to pivot a little bit and go to a full field or a larger field at this event. Not saying that these fields in the last couple of years at this event haven't been as competitive, but the winners the last couple of years only had to shoot 10 or 15 points over their rating to win. That being C-Dick most of the time. He really only had to average 10 to 15 points to get that W. Now, if we look at this event coming up, there's a lot more quality top 10 players, I would say, playing the event. So I think the scores of like that 26 to 28 range, which it has been over the last couple of years, is not going to cut it. I see the winner shooting 30. I see the ratings going high. And that, I think, will be the biggest storyline for this weekend.
All right, Wes, why is it Chris Dickerson over the field size?
Yeah, I mean, the Disc Golf Pro Tour pointed out that he has been dominant at this event. He has several wins at this event, although he struggled a little bit in 2021 and 2022, not coming up with a victory there. So I think coming back this year, he's going to be hungry to get back in the winner's circle and get another victory at this one, and to get himself ready for that Champions Cup, where he's probably going to come away with another major title for himself, I think.
All right, bold prediction there from Wes. Brian, why is it the field size over Chris Dickerson?
I think outside of Tennessee pros playing the event, obviously the location is big for that. There's a huge component of players from, I would say, the northern states coming down. The players have had a lot of winter and a lot of cold to deal with. So I'm excited to see players come down from those states and play in this event. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some unusual names in the top 10 because of it.
All right, Brian, I think you made a great point, bringing in the field size and what it's going to do to the overall outcome of the event. But I do think Wes, unfortunately, had a small advantage on this one going first. I think the clear-cut storyline that we need to follow here is Chris Dickerson. He's from Tennessee. He's struggled here of recent. And, yeah, he's dominated this event in the past. So Wes takes the point in duel number 1, sends us to duel number 2. Seth and Matt. Matt, you're going to be up first. Who are the best and worst commentary teams in all of disc golf? Matt, go for it.
Okay. I put a little bit of time into this one. I'm going to use the term best very loosely here. Okay. I'm going to give you some guys that I think do a good job with it. I like listening to Yuli's commentary. I like listening to Val's commentary. I like listening to a little bit of Nate's commentary. I like listening to a few different people. That being said, I think disc golf commentary as a whole is the worst. And the reason is because we're busy doing commentary for people that already understand the sport. And in all honesty, I think we are sorely missing. We need like a Howard Cosell level of personality to become a commentator, to develop something that'll be more relatable on a larger scale to more of the general public, to draw them in, even if it's out of curiosity in and of itself. So I'm not really going to say there is a worst other than to say they're all the worst, because they're all sounding like they're trying to be a little too golfy and not enough disc golfy, if you will.
All right, Seth, he put an interesting spin on it. Where are you going to go with this one? Best and worst commentary teams.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you actual commentary teams, and then I'll respond to what he said. So as far as the best goes, I'm going to give you Charlie and Brian. Charlie Eisen and Brian Earhart are by far the most polished. They're the most professional. They're the ones who are actually treating it like real commentary, and they're giving you both analysis and play-by-play. As far as worst go, I am going to directly respond to one of the people that he says he likes. I'm not a big fan of Yuli and Germ. I think that they talk a little bit too much. They have too many inside jokes that they're playing off of, and to Matt's point, it creates bad commentary. It's disc golfers talking about disc golf. And so ultimately, what we can see is that we do have something to build off of with Charlie and Brian. So I think that not all commentary is bad, but I can't agree that some of the commentary is bad. And I think, though, to answer the point directly, there is a best team and a worst team, and I've given you those.
All right, Seth, well said. Matt, go ahead and respond to Seth's comments and defend yourself a little bit.
Sure. My defense of myself is it's tough for me to choose a best when, in all honesty, I'm not really a fan of any of them thus far. I mean, I'll watch, and I do like to watch, but there's nothing yet that's really kind of hooked me that gets me going, ooh, I want to see those two guys or that crew do it again and again. So I think the fact that there have been so many different variations and so many different tryouts almost lends itself to the concept that there's really not a best just yet. I just don't find anybody that I want to see time in and again. I mean, it may be a little harsh, but I think we can do better.
Okay. Seth, yeah, bring it home. Why should you win this duel?
Yeah, so the question for this debate was, who are the best and worst commentary teams? And I laid out specifically one best team and one worst team. While Matt may be attacking it at the core of the argument, which is what is good commentary, to answer the specific question, I've done that with pointing out Charlie and Brian, and then from my perspective, Yuli and Germ.
All right, well said, both of you guys. Matt, I do like the spin you put on it. You know, bringing in the overall overarching emphasis of the argument, like Seth mentioned. You know, you don't find there to be a best commentary team, and therefore the worst is all of them combined in a way. So I respect that, and I appreciate what you brought up. I think those were great points. But Seth did answer the question directly, and he gave great reasons to back up why. So for that reason, Seth, you are going to take the win here in duel number 2. Sends us over to duel number 3. Wes and Matt, you're going to stay on the battlefield here. You guys are debating if you could bring in one video to show a prospective disc golfer, someone who's just getting into the sport, to hopefully hook them. What video are you going to be showing them? Wes, you're up first.
Yeah, when I think of this, I think of what tournaments are exciting to watch, which tournaments film really well, and also are just kind of interesting and engaging. And for me, that's the European Open. And I think that you could probably pick several different years for the European Open, but I would take them to the 2017 European Open, which was filmed by Spin TV. This is kind of a throwback. This was kind of when I started playing disc golf and just started watching some coverage as well. And this was really one of the videos that got me hooked on disc golf and got me wanting to try and be better. But you had Doss, Barsby, Macbeth, and a younger Simon when he was still throwing some crazy Simon lines. You had Paul with his mohawk. Still a very professional, polished product by Spin TV that looked really good. But then also those 4 guys on the cards are all very professional players, professionally dressed. You got the crowds that are there. You can see the excitement, and then you had a really close battle with Barsby and Macbeth that came down to hole 18 too. So just all of those things put together just make it actually interesting to watch, and I think inspire people to want to go play more.
Definitely memorable, Wes. Matt, what video are you showing somebody?
Okay, so I've had a few fun moments to think about this one. A few years back, I ran a big tournament and had to make a pitch to the city. And the partner that I had that was making the pitch did this really cool deal where he was talking about disc golf and he was talking about the tournament and all these players he was going to bring in. And the city council is just kind of giving a bit of a weird look on their face. And then I'm like, hey, everybody's got a tablet here. I want you to look something up for me. And all I did was I pulled up a Jomez video. And it was just one from a previous year, and they started seeing the gallery, and they started seeing the people, and that was what really kind of, oh, hey, great, and then suddenly we get great grant money from this. But if I had to take that same model and do it for just one video, I really think the James Conrad throw-in is, I mean, it's awesome. It was everything cool about disc golf. It was the competition. It was top competitors. It was the crowd going wild. It was the dude running in nothing but flag shorts. It was everything that was just so cool about disc golf. I don't care what sport you come from or what sports you don't know about. If you don't see that and get pumped up and be like, man, I want to see more of this or do some of this, you're crazy, man.
All right, Wes, so Matt is going the route of the James Conrad, the holy shot. You are going with the European Open final round from 2017. Why is it the European Open final round coverage from Spin TV over the most iconic shot, individual shot in the sport?
Yeah, I think that one shot is obviously like really exciting, but I think just the battle between Macbeth and Barsby, the course for the European Open filmed so much better than it did out in Utah for the Worlds there. I think that the video from Spin TV for that European Open just has a lot more interest to keep people engaged. I think if you're watching the back nine, you know that, you probably know that something cool is coming because I've probably told you about it already. So you kind of know that moment's coming, but I think watching the throwback from Spin TV it keeps your interest and keeps you glued to watching the video.
All right, Matt, why is it the holy shot? Why is that the video you're showing a prospective player to hook them on the sport?
I'm going to pull a Seth tactic here. The question says, if you had one video to show a prospective player to hopefully hook them on disc golf, what video are you having them watch? I think Wes's answer is a great answer as an entire competitive piece. But in my opinion, you get a short amount of time to hook somebody on something. People have a short attention span. This is one shot. This is the crowd going nuts. This is the natural moment, if you will, for our sport. And that hooks everybody.
All right. I like both of your points, and I'm glad they're different because this puts me in an interesting spot here. Matt, I think you're absolutely correct with the holy shot being the most iconic shot in the sport, and the attention span thing I think is a huge point. I'm glad you finished with that. Wes, I think as far as overall polished product and hopefully hooking someone for a longer period, I think the European Open is important too. Plus, like you implied, there are some big shots in that back nine especially as well that could hook someone big shot wise. So the reason I am going to give the win to one of you in this duel is based on the overall aspect of disc golf, and I think the holy shot, although incredible and the most iconic shot in the sport by a long shot, maybe in all of sports, the difference with that is I think for someone just getting into the sport, it could kind of normalize something like that just a little too much. And for that reason, I think as far as someone getting into the sport and just watching the discs fly and seeing the energy and the crowd involved, I'm going to give Wes the win in this one. So Wes takes the duel, sends us to the next one. Brian and Seth, you guys are debating what is holding disc golf video marketing back right now. Brian, you're up.
Well, it's kind of embarrassing. I have a little bit of this going on in my own career right now. So, I look inward and I say, what's holding me back? And, this is tough. But overall, I think one of the major issues is the driving forces in this whole movement of disc golf are players, not companies. And what I mean by that is many players, Brody, Simon, have more views on their YouTube, more interaction with their social media than any of the other manufacturers or the people creating the most income have. I would love to see a larger investment from companies that I love and that maybe even the ones I don't really love push more into the quality, the producing, the directing, the video quality, how it's released, all of those things. Latitude 64's biggest video is under 1 million. Brody's biggest video is like 25 billion. I don't know. There's a big difference there.
All right, Seth. Good points for Brian. Where are you going here?
Yeah, so when I looked at this question, video marketing quality, I thought about specifically ads that we're seeing on coverage. And so when I think about what is holding that back, is that a little bit of what Brian said, but not directly, is that right now we have disc golfers making content and not marketing minds making content. And what you can see is there's a clear line between what we consider to be high quality disc golf marketing ads that we see on coverage and what we think are just the embarrassing ones or the ones that we tune out while we go get a drink. And those are the ones that we tune out, those are the ones created by disc golfers. They're the ones that aren't created by a marketing firm. Whereas we see new ads coming in created by marketing firms that are elevating the quality. And so my answer here is that the more marketing mindset that we get behind our ads, the better that quality is going to be.
All right, so similar points from you guys. But again, I want you guys to address quality in particular. What is missing, Brian?
Well, if you look at most of the content, which really acts like ads nonstop for our movement, most of the content is shot on cell phones and shot maybe with a microphone, hopefully with a microphone, maybe a stabilizer. And that type of stuff really is the challenge. I would love to see, and maybe I'm missing it, but I would love to see in like future contracts, like if players are supposed to put out X amount of social media, all right, provide me with someone to do the editing for me, provide me with a gimbal, provide me with the newest and greatest iPhone so I can do all this work, get it done, and then you can turn a profit on it.
All right, good point. Seth?
Yeah, so I'm going to stick with my answer here of putting actual marketing minds behind behind the content that's being created. Brian's still stuck to, hey, if the players are creating it, it needs to be a higher quality. We need to get off of cell phones. What I'm talking about is the entire process, right? The people who are thinking of the ideas, the people who are putting it together, and the technology that's being used. we have to start really from the ground up, I think, at this point to fix this topic.
All right, good points for both of you guys. Seth, I think the important note that you made there is that, well, I guess you guys both kind of made the same point. Seth, you're the one that drove it home and kind of used it as your argument, which is we need to remove disc golfers from this whole, they need to be involved, obviously, but from the creation aspect, the ones really putting the work in. And Brian, you kind of said it for him as part of your point, saying, you know, we need to send something with these disc golfers, maybe as part of a contract, where, you know, I have somebody to edit for me, I have somebody to shoot for me, something like that. And I think that kind of backs up Seth's point as far as removing disc golfers themselves from the equation so they can go play the sport that they're being paid to play, and somebody who's professionally known for doing the marketing aspect and the advertising and the video creation can do that professionally. So for that reason, Seth, I am giving you the win here in this duel. You're going to stay on the battlefield with Wes. You guys are debating buy, sell, hold. We did this a couple weeks ago. We're a couple events into the season, so I want to see if things have changed. We've got some new people debating on the show this week, so you guys take it away. Seth, you are up.
Yeah, so to keep this concise, I'm going with one player from each division in each area. On the buy side, I am going to be buying Calvin Heimberg and Ella Hansen. I think Calvin is showing that he has staying power at the top, and as such, he demands further investment. Ella is raising her stock week by week, worth the investment. I'm holding on two of the big names, Macbeth and Kristen Tatar. I think that Paul Macbeth and Kristen Tatar are exactly where we expect to see them at this point in the season, and to try to buy more of them or to sell them off because they're not doing as well as people think that they should, which is like winning every event, which is impossible. No reason to give up yet. The selling is one where it's probably more of a hot take. I'm going to be selling some Paige Pierce. She's not coming out in the same dominant fashion that she has in previous years. And then I'm also selling Isaac Robinson. We saw Isaac really start to pick up steam at the end of last season, and he's not coming through at where we expected him to be at the start of this season. So so that's going to be where I'm selling.
All right, Wes, what are you doing here in this player stock market?
Yeah, this is a fun question. I think on the buy side, Gannon Burr is an easy choice for me. Obviously, a little bit more Discraft minded, so would love to see that kid throw in some Discraft plastic, an incredible talent. On the other buy side for the FPO, I think Holland Hanley is a player that I've been really excited about this year, joined Team Discraft, and I think she just has a ton of potential and just is still getting better and better, and she's already had some really great finishes this year. On the sell side, it hurts me to say both of these names because I'm a fan of both of these players, but on the sell side, I got Ricky and Kona. They're both battling some health issues right now. You know, they're both on really big contracts, so if you kind of look at the value maybe that they're bringing with those big contracts and kind of some of the health issues that they're running into, I think financially it would just be a sell for me. And on the hold side, I'm holding on to Paige Pierce. I think Paige Pierce is got so much potential still. The season is absolutely young. There's no way I'm doing anything but holding on to Paige Pierce, and also holding on to Sullivan Tipton, second place at Throwdown the Mountain this weekend, a kid who came through the underground. Another guy that I think has enormous potential, has not even come close to reaching it yet. That's my list.
All right, Seth, respond to that list from Wes and double down on yours.
Okay, you can't see it, but I've circled it right here. That says Sully. I had him in my buy category, and you know what? I'm buying more of him. I'm not holding on. I was out there with him in the final round, and he was the only person trying to go toe-to-toe with Macbeth on Sunday. And so I think that ultimately selling on Ricky is a little early. He is continuing to try to put himself back out there. On Kona, I would be completely honest, I'm surprised that anyone has much still left on that topic, at least this part in the season. They're probably still watching. And so I think that all of my people that I gave, Calvin and Ella on the buy, Macbeth and Kristen on the hold, and Paige and Isaac on the sell, all have clear reasons that are backed up by their existing performance this season, instead of some of these people like Paige and Ricky and Kona, who we haven't even really seen a full picture from.
All right, Wes, he threw some shots at your list. Go for it.
Yeah, I think if we're looking at power ranking at this point in the season, which is how I view this question, who's maybe a little bit at the end of last season as well, but Ricky battled some health issues at the end of last year, still had a tremendous season. He's still making the absolute most of it, but it just seems to kind of continually be weighing on him. And if I'm thinking long term here, unfortunately, I think Ricky would be a sell for me. And I think the other guys, there's so much talent with Holland. She's a name that really flew under the radar this offseason, and when she landed with Discraft, maybe didn't generate as much excitement as some other players, but I think she's going to be tremendous. And then obviously, Sully and Paige, I looked at this hold as I'm holding on to them as a Discraft player. They're both under the Discraft umbrella, and those two are going to do big things this season.
All right, so I like both of your lists. I think, Wes, I'm going to pick on you a little bit here as well. I think the Paige thing is fine. There's some mixed opinions there, but the Paige thing is fine. I think Seth pointed out a couple of things, though. Kona being one, I think Kona should have been sold already, personally. But the big thing that he pointed out was Sully. And Sully, like we talked about, throw down the mountain. He's the only one that challenged Macbeth. He's got all the potential in the world. He's climbing the ranks. Great kid, great player. However, I don't know why we're holding him. We should be buying more of Sullivan Tipton. So for that reason, I'm going to give Seth the win here. Next duel, Brian and Matt. Mount Rushmore of disc golf, MPO disc golf in particular. Who are you putting on your Mount Rushmore? Matt, you're going to be up first.
Okay, well, all time, I am going Climo. I don't think anything more needs to be said about that. I'm also going to throw Macbeth in there. He's still got more career ahead of him and everything like that, but what the man has accomplished both as a player and beyond has transcended what a lot of the people before him have done. And so he's got more left in him, and I want to see more of that. And just so incredible, you couldn't keep him off of there. Another one I'm going to give you is actually Johnny McRae. I'm just going to throw old Johnny out there. I mean, the dude is like the Keith Richards of disc golf, man. I mean, nothing kills him, I mean, the guy's out there like playing, Heart Attack, I'm coming back. I mean, and it's championship after championship. I mean, I know we're talking MPO, but Mount Rushmore, man, like, you got to go for all times. And then, to be honest with you, this is just my personal favorite. I like the fire of old Barry Schultz, and the man has been the nemesis of so many different players on tour that he was always after and everything. I mean, he's I don't know. I always kind of felt him like the John McEnroe of the sport. So that's kind of my Mount Rushmore. It's all over the place, but those are some great guys that have been there.
All right, Brian, do with it what you can. What are you doing now here on your Mount Rushmore?
All right, so my Mount Rushmore matches two of Matt's, which isn't surprising. Ken Climo and Paul Macbeth. You can do the coin flip. Who's the GOAT? Who's the more important? They're going to be the Jordan LeBron debate, and I love it. And I can't wait to see where this debate is in 20 years. My next two are different, though. And for me personally, I looked at it as most influential MPO players with both skill and sales and changing the game. So I picked Ricky next, even though I'm not a big dynamic fan, but he definitely was a great player, is a great player, multiple-time major winner. Can't wait to see him come back and compete. But my last one is going to be the biggest surprise. I picked Will Schustrick. For as influential as he is in the game, I think he's underrated. As a pro, he spent 22 months above 1040 rated, multiple majors, over close to 100 wins, 400 events. Big dude.
All right, guys. Nice opening arguments. I want you guys to focus on the two different players that you had on there. Matt, why are your last two better than Brian's last two? Go for it.
Okay, McRae, for all the reasons stated before. I mean, the guy is just, it doesn't matter what division he's been in. The man, as old as he is still whipping up on kids a third of his age now. I mean, my God, he's been there, you know? I mean, he's still doing it, and, you know, he's done it at a high level, and he's come back so many times. That's one of them. And then Schultz, I mean, the guy's got 5 world titles. You know, on the open side, he's got 2, but he's got a bunch in that Masters and the Pro Masters and stuff. And he's been involved in so many great battles over the history that it's like, I don't know, man. He kind of reminds me of like the old Greg Norman at the Masters for the disc golf side. He's always in contention, but it always seemed to be like coming up just short. And he had a few good years with it, but I mean, he was just that constant foil on the tour but back in the day. And I don't know. You can't replace that. So I'm sticking with my 2.
All right, Brian.
Yeah, so I think that Schustrick and Wysocki are both more recognizable names than those 2. And I know that shouldn't really matter, but as earlier discussed off the air, there are panelists that don't even know all 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore right now. So I think we need to keep our current MPO Mount Rushmore as current, as popular as we can. And I think we have to lean towards people that have influenced the last, I'll say, 10 years of the MPO field. If you look through, I think you'll see more young pros say they modeled their game after Will or Ricky than Barry or Johnny.
All right, well said from both of you. I like the differentiation at the end of the argument with the second 2. The way I look at this debate separating you 2 is Ricky to Paul is kind of like Barry to Climo in a way. So for that reason, I'm kind of just canceling them out, which leaves us with Will Schustrick and Johnny McRae as the final 4, as kind of the deciding factor here. And I think, although, Matt, you gave a lot of reasons for Johnny. He's battling. He's competing with people 30 years younger than him. Absolutely respectable. I think for the reasons that Brian gave, Will Schustrick is a little bit elevated above Johnny McRae in that sense. His ability to push plastic, but also the amount of time he spent at the top winning majors and competing with the best in the world and being potentially the best in the world in some people's eyes for a brief moment. So for that reason, Brian, I'm going to give you the win here in the duel. The winner of the episode, though, with 3 wins, Seth Fenley. Stage is yours. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I just want to start by saying that I was not the panelist who didn't know who the 4 figures on Mount Rushmore were. For anyone listening at home that doesn't know, it's Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, Roosevelt, and Thomas Jefferson. So with that being said, tonight I want to talk a little bit about what it means to be a disc golf agent. And I want to preface this by saying that as a team manager, I think that players need representation. I think that representation for players is a good thing. I think that currently the representation that you guys have sucks. And it's not that hard to say. There's maybe only 2 people right now that are representing players that are doing it right. The rest of the time, and if those people who shall not be named are listening, hear this, they can hopefully learn from it. But I had people in the off season tell me that they want to make a deal today and then not email me back for 5 days. I had people who told me, hey, we're taking different offers, and then not tell me until after the deal was announced that they went with another offer, even though I told them that the offer was forthcoming. I've had the whole gamut of people who have also told me that they're representing a player when they weren't even representing them. The reality is that right now, the field is ripe to just be a good agent. And also, players need to protect themselves and make sure that the people that they are aligning themselves with as agents are actually doing things in the best interest of those players and not in the best interest of them. I think there's too many people out there who are seeing it as a predatory market to take advantage of the money that's finally in the sport. And so that's what I have to rant about tonight. Maybe this will be a topic that we'll talk about even further on a debate as we get down the road.
Thank you so much, Seth. Congrats again for winning the episode. I think you gave a little teaser for what we'll see in the next week or two with a potential debate question. We've heard about agents now with victory speeches, I think 3 times now in the past couple weeks. So it's a point that needs to continue getting driven home for a lot of ears to hear. So I think you teased that well. So thank you there, Seth. Congrats again to you for winning the episode. Thanks as always, Matt, Brian, Wes, our first ever all winners episode. You guys performed beautifully. Thanks for being here. All you guys at home, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. We got a big giveaway coming for you guys next week, so stay tuned for that. Other than that, have a great weekend. Enjoy the Music City Open.